Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Jen. I'm glad to have you here. This channel is all about uncomplicating your life and specifically getting your financial life on track so you can live the way you want. So today I want to start the conversation with you about budget, and I'm going to do a three-part series. So part one, today I'm going to talk about why budgets are vital and some of the things maybe you didn't think about. In the part two, I'll talk about how to set a successful budget and some of the tips and tricks so it actually sticks, because we probably all tried one at some point and it just didn't work out. And in part three, I'm going to show you a very quick and efficient way to analyze your spending, and that would be the foundation for your budget. Before we jump in, let me tell you a little bit about inspiration for this series. One of my favorite YouTubers, Nikki from At Home with Nikki, I'm sure you've seen her channel because it's one of the most beautiful, if not most beautiful channel on YouTube. She recently came out with this planner, and that's a home planner that helps you organize your home life and gives you step-by-step instructions. Well, one of the sections, the very last section, is all about home budgets, and that makes this planner even more amazing for me. So that's what my inspiration for this series is. So let's jump in and talk about why budgets are so vital. Setting up a budget is one of the best gifts you can give to yourself. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. When we talk about budgets, I know most of the people feel they're confining, they're boring, like we're gonna get into this box and never come out of it. And I completely understand, because I felt exactly the same way in my early years. And I'll be honest, after this day, I don't really like big spreadsheets and tracking and those types of things. But what I do love is what budget did for me when I planned it out, implemented it, and designed my life around it. Setting up a budget is one of the most freeing things you could do, as ironic as it sounds. Why? Well, because before you set up a budget, you'll be forced to look at your spending and analyze to see where the money goes. And you're going to get a lot of information. Probably a lot of the information that you will get will surprise you. You'll see that most of us spend money on things that really don't matter to us. And information is power, because you can do a lot with information. Now that you know that, you can channel this money in a different way. Even if you take a small portion and invest it, or you spend it on something that's important for you, you'll become so much happier, and it will allow you to do things you never thought you could do. So let me give you a quick example from my financial course, how a tiny little spending change can really make a big difference in your life. Let's take a look at Jill's typical day. So she gets her breakfast on her way to work, that's about $8. Then she gets lunch with her colleagues, that's about $12. In the afternoon, she gets a coffee drink, that's about $4. And then on her way to the gym, she gets a smoothie, that's $4. So total a day, she spent $28. Now let's assume that's her typical day when she works. So she works 20 days a month. So that would bring us to $560 for 20 days, or a whopping $6,720 a year. Just think about what you could do with extra $6,720 a year. Now, what if Jill had a husband and his spending pattern was similar? Imagine how much money that could add up to. All right, maybe you'll say, you know what, I don't spend this much money a day, so let's take it a smaller example. Well, last time I got coffee and a bagel, it cost me about $6, so here we go. Let's say you spend about $6 a day, and it doesn't matter what it is, a coffee, bagel, some kind of another small expense. The point is here that we're looking to see how much a small amount a day could amount for you. So let's say $6 a day, 30 days a month. That would bring us to $2,160 a year. Now let's take it to next level. Say we don't just save it, but we also invest this money. So let's take a look at this example. $6 a day doesn't sound like a lot of money, so it doesn't even sound like we should bother, right? Well, let's take a look and see how much potentially our $6 a day savings could be worth. So, okay. Say we're investing $2,160 a year. We invested at the beginning of each year. We do not touch it, we don't withdraw anything, we just keep adding $2,160 every single year. Now let's assume we get 7% annual investment return. Now investments never have the same return. It goes up and down. It could be 15% one year and then minus 35% another year. So just keep that in mind. But for purposes of this example, we're taking 7% annual investment return, not accounting for inflation or investment fees. And let's say we're right now at age 44. So we're starting at the beginning at age 44 and we're going to invest until we're age 65. So let's see what we could potentially have. Over $100,000 you could potentially accumulate. Now keep in mind that all of this will change depending on your investment return. If it's higher, it could be substantially higher. If it's lower, it could be lower. So keep that in mind. Now let's see in the same example, what would $6 a day be worth if we were at age 19 right now? So let's look at the same scenario, all the same facts. The only difference is we're now investing at age 19. So we have a longer time to invest and keep money in the market. Again, we're not withdrawing anything. We're just putting this $2,160 every single year. Okay, let's take a look at what we could potentially accumulate. Over $700,000. Just think about it for a second. $6 a day could bring you this much money if you start investing at age 19 and go all the way to age 65. Now, of course, keep in mind, as I said, investment returns vary. So if you get higher percentage, you could get substantially higher return. If you get lower percentage, then it's a low return, and we're not accounting for inflation or investment fees here. But just to give you an idea how a relatively small change in your habits, if you find some extra money, and that's why you want to do budget, right? Because you will see some of the expenses you could potentially eliminate, and taking all of this money, what a difference it could make for you in the long term. And of course, I don't pick at bagels or coffee. That was just an example. I'm just trying to illustrate a point that even relatively a small amount could make a huge difference. All right, let's go back to the video. Another great benefit of setting up a budget, and we often don't think about it, but there is a lot of anxiety associated with spending and managing money. So budget eliminates a lot of the anxiety and guilt that comes with spending. So imagine this situation. I think many people can relate. So you go to a restaurant with your friends for a nice dinner, and then as you get your menu, you start thinking, oh my God, how much money did I already spend this month? Am I gonna be okay? Do I have enough? Should I order something cheaper? Should I skip the wine? So all of these things are going through your head because you don't know how much you spend, how much you really could allocate to going out. So part of that enjoyment of spending time with your friends and family goes away because you're worried about money and spending. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Well, and that's another thing that budget helps us greatly, because you know how much you have for a month to spend on entertainment. You know how much you already spent because you're tracking it. So you can enjoy your dinner and don't think about all of these things because you're in charge, and feeling in control eliminates a lot of anxiety and fears. Let's talk a little bit about that feeling of confinement and feeling that we might lose our freedom to do the things we want. Well, it's actually completely opposite, because the reason you're setting up the budget so you can channel the money to the things you love to do. And remember, you're the one who sets up the budget. So you decide and you create it. You decide what works for you, what works for your goals, and what goes in and what goes out. So if you really like that cup of coffee every day, I'm not going to make you drop it, although I might mention it, but really it's you who decides what stays in and what goes out. After all, there is a reason why they say personal finance is personal. I hope I convinced you to give budget a try. In the next video, I'll talk about tips and tricks to help you design a successful budget, because if you don't design a right budget, it's not going to work for you and you're not going to follow it. So please join me in the next video, but before you go, please support me by giving me a thumbs up, subscribing, ringing that notification bell so you know when next video comes out. And thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in my next video. In the meanwhile, keep your life uncomplicated.